Hey guys, what up? Got a game with a lot of salt here for you. You can see me riding Meshi. You can see me playing Gears, and you can see my buddy playing Dimension Police. I think it's it's Metalborg D-Robos with a lot of Cosmic Hero stuff thrown in. We both make risky plays. I ride the 8K, assuming he doesn't have one. He drops a 10 for 1 to pass. I don't hit a trigger because I am the least lucky man on the face of the earth. He goes in for the grade 2 rush. Okay, so right here, he thinks I'm guarding, but I'm just telling him why I made a risky play. But I decide to take the first one, block the second with a draw, and then just take the third. So I see him drive check the Laurel, so I know I've got to go in. And I'm at 3 early, which kind of sucks for me against Dimension Police, because eventually they're going to be coming in with the crit and the glory and all that. I decide to ride Fate Wheel instead of the good one, Chronojet, because I need to field control hard, and I go into Rune Master to field control even harder. And I swing at a rear guard, because field control! Oh, the field control! 9 to his 9, he takes it. I can see he wants to go into the Laurel he pulled, but he's only got a total of 3 cards in hand, so he decides to just do nothing and just stride instead. I'm debating using a perfect against this stride, so that I can stay at 3 instead of 6, but I know he has the Laurel, so it's not gonna matter. Just either I can kill him or I can't. That's all I got. I go into the Chronojet now, because if I'm not on Chronojet, the deck does nothing. Work on that, Bushy. I stride, because if I don't stride, the deck does nothing. Work on that, Bushy. He doesn't have anything for me to bounce, so I can only go into Fate Rider and search for a better grade 1 to boost with. So I call out Meshi, hoping to get some unflipping going later. Because, as you can see, I've already counterblasted 3. That Rune Master's got a really heavy cost. I'm mulling about where to put the Meshi. I ultimately decide to leave it behind my Vanguard. Because I have another Meshi to boost the Rune Master with, and I'm just putting Iron Fang out there in order to dump triggers if I get them, and in order to be able to intercept if he does get into his glory skills. I get the crit and the power, and another thing about the first turn, the third turn, attacking the rear guard with my Vanguard, I know he has to have Heavy Duke in there somewhere, and he's 2 counterblast, and I didn't want to take that, because there's a 50-50 shot I would have just died then and there, if he got the crits. So he calls out Urbuster and Legions, and I'm looking at this and getting a little bit frightened, because it looks like he has enough to dump onto the field for Laurel, but he decides to activate the Glory effect instead of bringing out Laurel, which, as I see that, he could have just used the critical trigger as a booster, so I guess he misplayed a little bit there, but it's for the better. He also accidentally goes for the triple drive, forgetting that it's a grade 3, and not a stride. I get the heal, and stupidly give it to my Vanguard instead of my rear guards, because but I just guard with the grade 1 that I'm not going to be able to use later. So he's gaining card advantage really quick, and he's not taken a lot of damage because I've had to be all about the field control. But unfortunately he hasn't played down a field again, so I can't really restrict the number of his cards. So at this point, I basically know it's going to be difficult for me to win. I saw him drive check the perfect last turn, so I can't unfortunately go into Ragnarok. I decide to do it this way because there's a chance that maybe that gets me a little bit more attacks. But it just doesn't happen. He just sort of he ends up walling me with a trigger. Unfortunately, I didn't catch his damage, so I'm very well with the camera. I'm sorry about that. He goes into the Heavy Duke now, and I'm looking at my hand and thinking I'm a little bit better prepared for this than I would have been, because he can only call down exactly the 4 cards for Laurel. So he's attacking for 26 with no Grey Blunt or Graders, and I'm looking at my hand. I got a couple of zeros. But at this point I had like 2 perfect cards that I was just staring at and getting angry at. Anyway, so he's at 26, I go up to 41 for the 3 to pass. He banks it. I have no idea why he banks it. He banks it again. No idea. And he fucking makes it right there. Sorry, probably shouldn't say that in case of the kids. I consider just turning off the camera and punching him in the face, but, you know, can't really do that to friends. Or, you know, just don't punch people in the face, Internet. It's not nice. Not a thing you should do. At this point, he's just sort of rubbing it in and showing me what he would have drawn with the effect. But I put the deck back together and demand the salty run back. So we're doing another game. I only record one of these at a time right now because that's just sort of how much memory my camera had. But I saw that the matches with these decks were going pretty fast, and that one ended by Bullspit. So I decided to demand the salty run back, and I assume that there's enough room on my camera. We're just sort of discussing the nature of Dimension Police right now, how basically everything in the deck is just there in case you don't hit Laurel. Because if you do hit Laurel, then the entire deck is just the process of, you know, going glory to Vanguard. And if I hit, these guys all rest, and I will glory your Vanguard again! So it's a little bit disappointing because it means the clan itself loses a lot of its unique flavor. Which is unfortunate. I choose to let him start because it's the Stride era and I am playing Gear Chronicles. So I really am dependent on the Stride. I ride the Stride fodder, get a crit. And he gets 2 draws off of my crit. So, the sacking is real in this game. The sacking is real. He drive checks the Die Kaiser. Very important card right now in the strategy because he really contributes to allowing you to Laurel well with your Sin Busters. Ride the Amber. I could have ridden a Rune Master, but I wanted to keep it in case he called out Laurel or something. Because I'm pretty sure I had the perfect guard, which actually I debated using on that attack because I thought it was going to be like my last opportunity to do it. Ride the Chronojet, because this clan is all about Chronojet. Use a Fate Wheel to Stride. he's shuffling his hand over there, which got pretty big because those 2 first turn draw triggers. I look through my strides, grab my Fate Rider, I believe that is, because and call out a Gear Hound so that I can benefit off of the returning instead of just returning for returning's sake. So what I'm doing here is sort of like a modified grade 2 rush type of thing. Just calling out everything that can poke at his Vanguard and using it to poke at his Vanguard. And getting in a little plus with the Glimmer Breath while I do it. Obviously, I used Fate Rider to grab a Meshi because I want to keep my damage available so that I can continue to control his field and use my Ragnarocks if I have to. Yeah, he was at 4. He guards for a 2 to pass. I bank the draw because I want revenge. And I get the crit, and he dies. And he's claiming that he would have won next turn because he had the Sin Buster. But I show him that I have 50k in hand with 2 intercepts. So that was the game. Bye-bye, Internet people. Firefang signing out.